This is the East Coast Economic Update for May the 3rd, 2009. Actually, May the 4th, 2009. A couple of things that I want to point out to you. For one, the market went up 211 points to close around 8,400. That's a high that hadn't been reached in 4 months. But more importantly, I would like to get back to the primary reason why we should not be concerned about the Dow Industrial Averages or any of the information that you're going to get probably in the next 60 to 90 days. Of course, I'm going to place everything here. One of them is going to be an article that points out that if you remove the bullets and aeroplanes that we produce, the industrial practice here that we produce is less than 1%. The fundamentals of this economy are non-existent. We also, in the 106th day of the Obama administration, we have reached a new debt high. We produced in less than 6 months, or less than 4 months. We have outstripped our previous debt from $400 billion to $1.4 trillion with a T. Now, I of course have an article here, but they said that it's getting very risky, they being the Europeans, because it's greater than 4% of our income, the government's income, which is somewhere around 13 or 14 trillion dollars. And our debt is around 11.2. Now, that's a fallacy. Now, that number, that 4% of everything is wrong, because if you factor in all the other stuff that's been basically pre-done, which is Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and all the rest, and the other promises that we've given and pushed off until another day, it comes to 61.3 trillion. That places our the amount of debt that we're doing way past 10%. So it's very interesting. We are not in a recovery, ladies and gentlemen. We are in a spiral collapse, not unlike the Argentinians. Actually, the Argentinians probably had it better by the time we get finished with this. This is the reason why I've told you not to look back in February, late February, early March, not to look at the Dow Industrial Averages. The information that they're telling you is false. All you have to do is Google, and Google any topic you'd like. How bad is the economy? And you will find out that the numbers that they're giving you, the commentators will tell you in writing that they're not the right numbers. In fact, the numbers are worse. So this is the problem. This is where people figured that, well, since the buildings are not burning and people are not shooting in the streets, that there must be a recovery, and the green shoots of a new economy are on their way. Well, unfortunately, China's economy is recovering. Its green shoots are coming from an industrial base that it took from us since 1973. Even if we wanted to turn around and go back into the abandoned buildings and factories that we wanted to start producing our own T-shirts, shorts, shoes, and everything else, they wouldn't be there, because we ripped them down to the bolts and shipped them over to China. Our greatest, just by the way, our greatest export is scrap metal. To where? To China. China has also openly started telling people, which they never did before, that they have increased their gold reserves by 75%, and they have markedly increased their copper, aluminum, and steel purchases for non-building purposes. Maybe they're going to build later. Maybe they're going to use it for weapons. No one knows. So I want to leave those thoughts with you. Of course, I will have it all listed here for you. I also came across a video series that I created into a personal vlog on my site, and I'm going to leave that with you. and it's about the documentary on Ruby Ridge and Randy Weaver. Randy Weaver was the first incident where I realized that something was dastardly wrong. And I had said in a previous video that the only difference between me and Timothy McVeigh was he had the means and the opportunity. We were all shocked. Followed very shortly thereafter during the Randy Weaver trial, within days of it getting on C-SPAN, the David Koresh and the Davidians, the Branch Davidians, were massacred. I was in college when both incidences happened. I had just gotten out of the military after serving 7.5 years honorably in the United States Navy and the Marine Corps as a medic, and somebody had said to me I was outraged at the way they were treating Randy Weaver and how this whole thing broke down, because it just didn't look right from my experience in the military. And somebody turned around to me and said, but Randy's a Aryan racist, he's an anti-Semite. Why would you be worried about him? And I said to that person who I had talked to in college what I will say to you today. I don't care if Randy Weaver was a Nazi or not. Even if he was a rabid Nazi, I would defend his right to express himself. He wasn't pushing it on anybody. In fact, the reason why they went in there originally, if memory serves, is because of a setup where they forced him to make sawed-off shotguns, try to entrap him, and when he refused to play along with what he believed was unfair and unjust, they came after him and then massacred his son and his wife, and permanently scarred emotionally himself and his 2 daughters. His right to express himself, though if he were an Aryan or a neo-Nazi, I would disagree with him. I would say he has the full and meaningful right to express that, as long as it's not in a manner in which he harms another person or defames that person's personal property. If you're living in the woods on a mountain somewhere and you hate Jews, you have every right to do so. Though I disagree with you intellectually and theoretically, you have a right to express that. And that's what bothered me then, and that's what bothers me now. I would encourage you to watch this video series. I think it's 5 short 10-minute videos. And remind yourself why we're here, why we're having these discussions, why we're concerned. Because now we have the most technology that we've ever had, the freest amount of information that we ever had. We can go on an internet anywhere in the world and learn the truth. And we are giving up our rights even faster than they did over 17 years ago, almost 18 years ago, August. So I leave you with this. Godspeed and peace, and keep the faith.